Every October since 2011, Retro Movie Geek has brought you the spooky side of retro movies. And this year is no different. So join us in our perilous search through darkened and abandoned basements for some perhaps less talked about horror movies from the 1980s. But remember, we spoil the hell out of every movie we cover, so consider yourself forewarned. Spooky Flix Fest starts now.
Welcome to a bonus episode. That's right, it says bonus Spooky Flix Fest episode. I am, of course, Joel, aka Gilman Joel, and I am joined for this bonus by a guy that this is my first time podcasting with him. I wish after talking to him at the beginning of the recording, I was like, man, I need to do some more stuff with this guy. Just kidding. This is Hammond. Come on, people. Everybody knows Hammond. At least if you listen to Retro Movie Geek, you know Hammond. Come on.
Hey, Joel, I'm glad to be here. I was actually worried I was going to get skipped this year. I was panicking a little bit.
I know. In my defense, I did reach out.
You did.
I did reach out, and then it turns out like you're busy. Busy. Hammond is a very busy dude. Lots of podcasts and shenanigans are going on. We will absolutely talk about all of that before we wrap this bonus episode up. So luckily, you got to be here. Spooky Flix Fest 2024. I am very happy to have you. But I do believe that you and I have a movie that I didn't create a banner for. So as I'm trying to run out the clock, I'm creating a banner for as we speak. We are covering The Final Terror from 1983.
This is a movie I had never heard of, which is weird because of who's in it. Yeah. And it's also weird because it's a very strange twist on the Kids in the Woods movies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's also weird because, like you, I feel like the title was familiar to me, but I don't know if that's because it makes me immediately go, The Final Terror. I don't know if that's why, and again, to your point, the people, when we'll get into this, the people that are in this, it's kind of ridiculous. And I think the only reason I knew about this is because one person, I'll just say she's the kind of person that might want to protect Bill from being killed. Mm-hmm. And that actress, I feel like that there's some clips of her from this that I saw in some documentary one time when people were talking about her. I
just know that she caused a splash in her first real big role.
Very well played, sir.
Yeah.
Very well played. Yes, she did. And we will get into all that about the people that were in this and who was behind it, because actually it's the other thing, like the director. When I realized, I was like, holy crap, really? All right, cool.
When this first started, it started with that kind of cold open, kind of like Dog Soldiers does, where something happens and you kind of sets up what's going on. And I really thought they were going to call this the soup can lid killer, because the booby trap was all those soup can lids.
I loved, and we'll get into why I loved how kind of lo-fi it just back. Some of you and I were discussing before we got on the feral nature of this movie and the character that we're going to be talking about. Obviously, we spoil the hell out of every movie we cover, as we always say on all these things. I know it was at the beginning, but just if you've never seen The Final Terror, which I feel like is a very good possibility, there probably are quite a few people who have. I know I hadn't. You hadn't.
I'll be honest, and I'll say up front, it is worth the $4 to rent it on Amazon Prime. It is not. It's shocking enough as far as how it plays with expectations. That you don't know what's going to happen, and the result at the end is also shocking, just because of the sheer number of people.
And it's cool to see so many people who would go on to do cool things in one of their first movies, which is awesome. So it's sort of like The Burning, which I know I've seen The Burning like once. It's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It's fine. But I feel like that's those reasons people always point to, like, oh, look, it's got this person and that person in it. And yeah, but this one I actually, if I'm being honest, enjoyed more. Like, I think I'm gonna lay all the cards out now. I actually really, Peter will make fun of me, which by the way, he said he was very sorry he couldn't be here for this. Apparently he had to work and use public transit to get home and wouldn't make it in time. Boo. I'm just kidding, Peter.
And Daryl's never on with me.
I know. That is purely personal. Daryl, actually, technically, it's probably maybe Daryl's lunchtime right now. I don't know as we record this. But no, Peter really actually said he was very sad. And if in Daryl's full defense, I don't even think he knew we were doing this today.
Oh, yeah.
But this movie for me is, of all the ones we covered, because actually of every single movie from this year's Spooky Flix Fest, unfortunately I didn't get to watch them all. There's only like 2 or 3 of them that I'd ever seen before. And all of the main ones I hadn't seen. And then this one definitely had never seen. So I'm very happy that you and I were able to make this happen, both because it gives me an excuse to podcast with you again. And for those that don't know, legitimately. So let's see. Recap. Hammond and I did the Booth at the End podcast together, which, by the way, I showed that to my kids a couple months ago for the first time. They watched the whole series. They loved it. They thought
Good.
Still holds up. Fantastic. And why is it that we need a physical media version of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on.
With commentary tracks, bonus stuff, all the things.
Yes, 100%. So, and then we did Werewolf, the TV series, the podcast, the clunkiest title in the history of podcasts. But based on the Werewolf TV series from Fox back in 1987,
88.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. And yes, that one with let's see, we got Chuck Connors. That was probably the most famous individual.
Lemmy LeWolf.
Yeah, that's right. Lemmy LeWolf. And Brian Thompson, right? Who played that?
Yeah.
And was it John J. York? Was Eric?
I don't remember.
It's Eric. I know it's Eric.
Yeah, I know it's
Eric Quaid, but that's not right. It's Eric something. Anyway, point is, it's been a minute since we did that. We did that entire podcast together. I've noticed you and I have a pattern. We like to do shows that have a shelf life, which honestly is good because it gives you like a point. You're just kind of like going on in perpetuity. Yep. And then of course you and I have podcasted off and on for Forgotten Flicks and Retro Movie Geek.
Yep. And we've been I still think that we should do another anthology show.
I do too. And we just need to find the time to do it.
Yeah.
Both of us. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe 2025 is the year, my friend. We'll see.
We'll see. Absolutely.
Yeah. But hell, even if we just do it, like we just know we'll do it, it might take us like 18 years to get through it because we do like one episode every 3 months. That's fine. But we are talking about The Final Terror. And I will say, I'm going to bring this up on the screen with us here. So we're going to go IMDb. As you can see from the here we go, giving it away right off the top. As you can see from that image on the screen, that is the one and only Daryl Hannah at the young age of, I think she was like 22, maybe 23. Yeah.
So as you're going through this list, I do want to ask, how did they get 2 Brits on this trip to the mountains?
Oh, that was hilarious. Yes, I thought the same thing. I was like, huh. That's interesting. Were they like exchange students? What was
but I as soon as I heard him talk, I'm like, wait, how did that get there?
Yeah. So I will say before we go into the cast and everybody as well, again, I really enjoyed the movie and what I specifically loved. So my favorite subgenres are interloper movies, like Hand the Rocks a Cradle, Stepfather, things like that. Terror on the highways, horror highway type movies, Duel, Breakdown, all those kind of movies. And I love, and I feel maybe this is just survivalist kind of horror where it's like The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
Where people,
I can give you a couple of really good ones. There's Deadfall Trail that not many people have seen that I think is brilliantly done.
I don't know that I've seen that. I don't even know that I've heard of it.
It's fantastic. Find Deadfall Trail and watch it. It's really good.
I'm putting it in now while you talk.
There's oh gosh. I mean, there's a lot of like I think even Wrong Turn might count as a film like this.
Yes, it absolutely would. I would 100% count Wrong Turn. Deliverance.
Yeah,
I would say Deliverance is it.
But as soon as I saw this, I kept thinking of Deadfall Trail because there's a similar at the end, the trap. was used in Deadfall Trail and oddly enough in Brotherhood of the Wolf to try to kill the
which is hilarious because that poster is behind you. And I swear to you, you know what I almost did at the beginning before when you first got, I was like, oh, is that a Garbage Pail Kids poster? Because from my angle, the way there's like a light that's kind of bouncing. So on the left-hand side, that looked, like in the original Garbage Pail Kids, it looks like the trash can. And I was like, but I don't see Mackenzie Austin. Or Aston, whatever.
Yeah.
No, that is Brotherhood of the Wolf. A marginally better movie than Garbage Pail Kids.
Okay, so I will say though that so I was really disappointed at how they were telegraphing Joey Pantaleone's stuff. I was very disappointed. I was hoping he was going to be more of a red herring than he was. I actually thought he was going to come out of the woods and be the hero, and everyone to paint him in this light.
Yes.
This weird light. As soon as they told the story about the girl, I'm like, oh, that's the kid. And
I thought the same thing too. However, I felt like they did a pretty good job of setting that. It's kind of like in Scream, spoiler alert for Scream, that, they pretty much are like light on Billy the whole time. And so, but yet because of that, it's almost like it's so obvious. You're like, it can't be him because it's too obvious. I kind of felt that way about the Joey Pants character, but then I thought, well, if he is the kid, then maybe he's the guy doing this. But the only thing, this is the only thing that sucks. One, I think it may have actually been on Amazon when I went to go get it. The synopsis says something about a feral killer or a killer in the woods and she. So they say she. I'm like, oh, come on, man. If they hadn't said that, I legit would have thought it was him.
Yeah.
And
I didn't read it. I just clicked on it. Figured
that was smart. I shouldn't have. Shouldn't have. But it said and then it said a killer, a female, something like a she's a killer with a neck fetish, which I'm like, what are they talking about? A neck fetish?
Actually, she had a canned peaches fetish.
Yeah, I think she had like a canned goods fetish, maybe, but not.
She liked the presidents of the United States of America.
I get it. I got that. It took me a second. I was like, oh, I get it. It's the band you're referring to.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish I hadn't known that because you know what I'm saying? I feel like
no, actually, I was surprised when they showed his mom, and it took me a minute to put the pieces together, even just viewing it. I'm like, oh, that's who they told the story about.
Yes.
Oh,
now
so the legend was true.
It was, except for the part where I felt like that was a story he made up on the fly.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's so dovetailed perfectly with what actually is, that's, if I have like a knock on this movie, it's that. Like, I think you could have had a thing where.
I have one other knock. You finish your thought, but I have another knock.
I was going to say my main knock is that, and the fact that if they had just insinuate, like, maybe like when they're in the woods and there's weird stuff happens, say, you hear about these feral people. There was always a story, grow up as a kid, like maybe one of the characters supposedly grew up in the area. We always heard this story about this lady who, and then kind of give the outline, the broad strokes of that story. But as soon as you say a son, or she could say she had a kid, you didn't have to be so specific.
This was very much the serious version of Tucker and Dale.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it was. Good call. Yes, it was.
So there are two things that I wanted to have a knock on. One, these troubled kids are all in their 30s. I haven't seen teenagers this old since Grease.
Yes. Good call. Yes.
And then 100%. The other thing is, talk about an incredibly unlikable group of people.
Some.
The two responsible adults that, while looking for the lost child, went and had sex in the woods.
Yes. Which, by the way, side note, I find the idea of skinny dipping or having coitus in the middle of the woods, and maybe this is having grown up on Friday the 13th movies, as horrific. Like, I can't even fathom why you would do that.
Especially in those woods, because they're going to be leeches and poison oak and ivy and you're irresponsible. Marco, who they kept yelling, I kept waiting for somebody to
Polo. I didn't do it. Every time they did it, my wife got so annoyed. She at this point, she just ignores my stupidity. But I'm just like, every time they go Marco, I went Polo.
And the first couple of times, I didn't realize that was the kid's name. I thought they were playing Marco Polo.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that is fun. That was, and I even said, my wife said, why did they do that? I said, well, it was a choice. I said, I bet you, because Marco Polo was a thing in 1983. So I feel like they did it on purpose. Like I think they meant tongue in cheek. The only problem is everything else in the movie. Yeah, there's some humor in some of the characters, but it's a pretty like down the line, straight up like serious horror flick.
Well, yeah, because there's very little purposeful joking.
Yeah.
And
that's a little too goofy.
And if they did, it's usually at one of the other characters' expenses, which also makes me realize just how much these people suck as people.
Yes, yeah. Most of them were pretty crappy people. The girl with the British accent out of nowhere, she was nice. I mean, she kind of goes full Barbara by the end of the movie and Night of the Living Dead. But the guy that they hook her up with was Marcus from the Jeffersons. My wife and I have been rewatching the Jeffersons. I know I do this at every show that I'm on, that I've been of the Jeffersons, but that show holds up so well.
I started watching The Fall Guy again. It's a lot more fun than people remember.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Fall Guy in Space 1989, or I'm watching again.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. So we were rewatching that, and he plays Marcus, who works for Mr. Jefferson at the clothes cleaning establishment. The laundromats that Jefferson.
Dry cleaner, laundromat.
Yeah, laundromat. So I'm trying to remember what the hell you call it. It's like the laundromat. Yeah. It's Jefferson Cleaners is the name of the actual establishment. And I thought he was fine. There's a character who's okay. I was until the end of the movie. This one guy I thought he could be the killer because he's just losing. It turns out he's a Vietnam vet.
Yeah, but okay, they didn't establish ages. I thought they were all teenagers.
Me too. At first, I did too. I thought they were supposed to be kids too. And I'm like, but he's not old enough to be a vet because even he's 1983, where he would have been like, if he's 20, he was born 63. He'd have been like 12 when Vietnam ended. That doesn't make sense. But if they're like pushing 30, then yes, he could have been a vet,
or even early 30s, which makes some sense that some of the guys could have been that age. But and maybe this was more like so the Utah State Department of Corrections, they have a group of people who are prisoners and who are then trained to be fire jumpers. So they learn how to fight fires in forests. And so these could be people who are in that kind of situation being trained to be rangers and rescuers in a forest situation, which makes some sense for them being objectionable and older.
Yeah. But to your point, I got the vibe. I thought at first it was a camp for like wayward kids that needed to be just scared straight or something. And then I thought, okay, maybe these are like the counselors and the kids haven't come yet, a la Friday the 13th. Maybe that's what's going. That was also a point of like, you're like a little confused. But here's the thing. This movie starts off like a slasher flick. Like it pretty much has all the markings of a slasher flick. But it takes a turn and shifts into this like Hills Have Eyesian wrong turn
survival kind of thing.
Survival thing that's what made it awesome. Like if it just stayed on the slasher road, I'd been like, it was whatever, it's fine. Yeah. But the fact that it goes where it goes, and you've got these like booby traps, and then you also even get kind of, and I wish it had gone along. I wish Craven, by the way, if Wes Craven had directed this movie, it would have been even greater because Craven is like the king of the montage of putting together booby traps. Like he's the king of it. And
he should have directed Home Alone. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine a Wes Craven Home Alone movie?
It would have been called Better Watch Out.
Yeah, that's true. It would have been. Yeah. Touche. But I think that would have been great. But yeah, you at least get that. You get a little bit of that. Then like, the montage of them having to build the traps to trap the killer, which I thought was cool. They working together. And I will say, unless I'm remembering this wrong, it's an early 80s slasher movie, basically, where did both black leads live?
Yep.
See, we always talk about, they never make it.
And that's the other thing I wanted to bring up is the body count at the end. Really, the only people that died were the ones who probably should have.
Yeah, they were already. Yeah, I would say this: the Vietnam vet guy, my take on it, maybe it's me being like too bleeding hard about this, but I mean, yes, he was an a-hole, but when you consider like what the guy's probably been through and the PTSD involved, like I understand they weren't thinking about that probably that much.
And the shrooms.
And the shrooms, yes, and he's taking shrooms. Not a good combo. The problem is that the way the actor portrayed that character, you didn't really get a lot of sympathy votes for him. That was the problem. Contextual, like the actual like idea of him, I felt bad for the guy.
Yeah, if he'd lived, he would have been grown up to be John Rambo.
Yes, he very much had it. And that would have been cool to me. If like he had gone full John Rambo and like they just had like, follow his lead, and they all are, and especially if they had all, because you got the vibe, like probably still a lot of them were like former hippies and stuff like that. And they are all forced in this situation to like, in a way, this movie, and it makes, actually, I'm not going to say, I'll tell you later after record, because that just gave me an idea for a movie. Springboarding off of this, but I'm going to set that aside. But my point is, I really like this movie. You know what, the moment I knew I loved it? The opening scene that you referred to, that cold open. First off, I love when you ever get like a real stunt moment, like, the way they crash and you could see the act, like that was real. And then the guy is the first to go, which I thought was kind of a cool twist on a movie from this era. But then the girl, when she finally gets her, like, and all of these, like, that was your point. Like, those were all like tuna fish can lids or something, right? Came out at her. Mm-hmm. And they're all rusty. And it was like, you could tell it was this makeshift feral weapon. And I was like, oh, hell yes. Yeah. Hell yes. This is awesome. So that was what I knew I kind of might love this movie. That's what I knew.
I just remembered another really point that was purposely funny. And that was when the girl went into the bathroom and she starts putting toilet paper just on the lid.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, she needs to wrap that whole room in TP before I'd use it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was an outhouse, right? And she was so cute. And by the way, I could, not to throw my wife under the bus, I could totally see her doing that situation. Like, oh, no, I'm not sitting on this. No. And it's like, the place is so, like, you could tell that's one of those, like, before you even enter the door, the smell hits you. Like, you knew it was that kind of place. Yeah, that was great. So I did, before we get to the end of this, I want to make sure. So as you can see, we've got, Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano. I don't feel like we need to say everything he's been in, but he's been in everything. Risky Business, Memento, Matrix. Name some more stuff, Hammond.
Wasn't he in some Tarantino stuff?
Was he?
I don't know. I think
it feels like he should be, though. Now that you say that out loud,
I feel like if he hasn't, it's a crime.
Yeah, that does seem wrong. Like Joe Pantoliano does seem like he would be in a Tarantino movie. The lovely Ms. Daryl Hannah, she's probably the youngest cast member. She actually looked young. Like, if you told me she was supposed to be an 18 or 19, I would have believed it. Yeah. Like that, she legit looked young. Everybody else looked.
The guys who snuck off to grab pot, they all look like they were in Greece. I mean, they were the oldest high school kids I'd ever seen at that point.
Speaking of the era of Greece, so Lewis Smith, who plays Boone in this, I love that guy. He's in one of my favorite 80s comedies, The Heavenly Kid, with Jason Kendrick.
That's a fantastic movie.
I love that. As a matter of fact, some of us maybe have the soundtrack on CD that they were just playing earlier.
Wow, you're old.
Yeah, dude, come on. Of course I am. And let's see. Oh, Adrian Zmed, which, by the way, the only thing I can ever think of when I see him, Bachelor Party. Like, that's the only thing I ever think. I know he was in other stuff.
He was kind of like the what's his name? The guy who played Slater in Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah.
Mario Lopez. He was like the Mario Lopez of the early 80s.
Yeah, that's a good connection there. I agree with you. Zorich was John Fredrich. Who was Zorich? Was that that was the Vietnam vet guy, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the Vietnam vet guy, which he
got top of the list too.
Yeah, he did. I mean, to be fair, his role was pretty substantial by the end of it. He was in 19 things. He actually retired a year after this with The Paper Chase, the TV series. So I guess for whatever reason,
he was in The Thornbirds.
Yeah. So obviously he had a good run there for a little while.
Yeah.
He looked familiar, but it's like, I'm like looking through his filmography. I'm not seeing anything that's like, oh, that's what I know him from. I mean,
you have to watch a lot. He looks like he did a lot of TV, Streets of
San Francisco. A lot of 70s TV. Yeah. Now Ernest Hart Jr. plays Heinz. That's Marcus from The Jeffersons.
Yep.
Recognized him. Rachel Ward played Margaret. She's sort of the, I guess, kind of, I mean, so funny because Richard Ward is actually a really great actress. If you've ever seen Fortress from the 1980s, the Australian film, she's a great actress. I think she's married to, what's his name from FX and FX2 and Cocktail. Brian. Come on, help me, Hammond. It's right there.
I'm trying. He's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. It's Brian something, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's screaming at us right now. Come on, you guys. How do you not know it's Brian?
Brian, the Australian guy from FX.
Yes, that was his last name, Brian, Australian guy. And so but to me in this, like, literally, if I had to pick most, like, I don't know if there was other stuff with her they just had to cut out. Like, her characters, other than it's Rachel Ward, is totally forgettable. Yeah. She doesn't do anything. Like, it's not like, every other character kind of has a bit of like something happens, or there's an arc, or there's something.
Everybody's got their own moment to shine, kind of.
So, kind of. There was a moment with her. does she kick somebody or do something physical? Am I remembering that wrong? It's been a minute. I watched this several days ago. So
I can't remember. It was all kind of a blur.
So I probably got mispronounce her name. I'm sorry in advance, but Okusowa Busia plays Vanessa. She's the one with the British accent, and the one who's very, very careful about her gnarly outhouse toilets.
Yeah.
And then Mark Metcalf, Animal House, and of course, what music video is he the most famous for?
Oh, Twisted Sister.
Yeah, we're not gonna. Right, that was the one, right? Yeah, yeah.
Actually, I think he was in both the I Want to Rock and the We're Not Gonna Take It. I think he might have been in both.
Okay, We're Not Gonna Take It. Twisted Sister. I'm not.
Right. It's all Twisted. No, it's all Twisted Sister. Twisted Sister.
Yeah, but he's like he plays the dad. Like, I don't want that rock and roll music.
What are you gonna do with your life?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's supposed to be like the dad version of his character from Animal House, I think. Yeah. Cindy Harrell played Melanie. She was the love interest of Mark Metcalf. They're the ones in charge, Melanie and Mike.
Yep. They're the two irresponsible adults who decide after screening Marco, they're going to find the polo.
Yeah. Well played. Lori Butler's the one who dies at the beginning. And Jim is her boyfriend who dies. So they're at the beginning. And then let's see, we've got now Edgar's mother was apparently played by a dude, Anthony Macario.
But they probably needed a stuntman to catch that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, especially because all we really saw was profiles and
yeah, but it was good makeup because I legit just thought it was an older woman. Like I thought it looked like.
And a ghillie suit. Really, all you needed was ghillie suit and some makeup
and a gnarly wig, a napkin, kind of like a what's that? Like a I'm trying to think, a matted. It was like the hair was very matted in her. With moss and all kinds of stuff. Let's see here. We've got. I think that's pretty much all the big ones.
You want to bring up the director?
Oh yeah, no, I was saving that because. So, it wasn't me. It was the one-armed man.
Yeah.
The guy who directed The Frickin' Fugitive directed this.
Which is interesting because there's a similar feel of that whole surviving in the woods.
I thought that too.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally thought that there was a definite fugitive. You could almost see that's right. He did Under Siege. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Poor guy.
Oh yeah, because that's a good movie. I like that movie. But to your point.
So I just finished a book called The Last Action Heroes.
Okay, is it like about real stars?
It starts with the writing of Rocky and ends with The Last Action Hero, and that's this era of bombastic action heroes. And they go to say that action movies have continued because there's Jason Statham and The Rock and Wesley Snipes, but they are a different breed of hero. There's a different undertone to them, not this kind of raw kind of jingoistic mentality about it.
Yeah,
and it's a great book. It's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend it to anyone who's into that kind of thing.
Yeah. I would also highly recommend somebody make another one of those movies because you will make a lot of money. That's because nostalgic nerd boys.
Oh, Stallone caught it because he figured it out because he's making the Expendables movies.
No, yeah, except for the fact that I didn't see the fourth one because I heard it was just god awful. So
I think I've seen.
I saw the first one, the second one. I thought the second one wasn't that great. I love the first one.
Yeah,
but it's like just make the first one, and I get it. It's like it made money. You got to make more. No, you don't. Yep. Just make one, brother. Just one. Anyway, but yeah, man. So I think for me, and on Mom and Pop Video Shop, we rate based on tapes.
Okay.
So a 5 taper is you literally would steal it and pretend you lost it. So you have to pay the $80 to $100 fee. 4 tapers, you keep it past and pay that fine. 3 taper is the norm. You just keep it, bring it back when it's supposed to be back, but you kept the whole weekend. 2 taper is you took it back the next day, said, I watched it, didn't love it, I wanted something else. 1 taper means you took it back that night. You're like, F this movie.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So where is it for you?
For me, it's probably I'd probably give it a 3.5. I'd probably pay some money to watch it a second time.
I'd say this is a 4 taper for me. I would straight up pay a late fee. Yeah. I will eventually own it. I definitely want to buy it if it's on. I'm assuming it's on physical media somewhere. I haven't even checked. But,
I didn't even look either, but because I knew I needed to turn this around pretty quick because we figured we set this up a week ago.
Yeah, if that. Yeah. Yeah. So I was happy with it was on Amazon. I was thinking otherwise. Hey, Peter, arg.
Hey, we need to go to We need to go to a bay with Captain Hook.
Yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow, if he's around, if you could. Because my theory is I will pay for stuff all day long. But if you don't make it available to me for whatever your reasons are, bro, that's on you.
Well, and I got a great example. There's a movie called Chaos. It's got Wesley Snipes and Jason Statham in it. And when I first saw it, it was coming out. I was excited. It wasn't released in the States anywhere. So I procured it, but then as soon as it was available on Amazon Prime, and I saw it was on iTunes, I bought it, and then I bought it 4 times on physical media to give to the guys to do Film Sack, and they still haven't done it.
Wait, what? Did I forget another movie?
No, Film Sack. The 4 copies for Film Sack.
Yeah.
So make up for my guilt. The Mormon guilt kicked in, and I had to buy it.
But that's you look. I mean, assuming, of course, we're both being so naive to think that the people, the creatives involved with the movie, they're probably not even the ones getting the money from that, which is who we want to get it.
Yeah.
But or at the very least, the people who own the damn movie. But I have no problem. I will pay and make sure the people who pay, it's a product, it's their thing, and I get that. But if it's not made available to me through whatever the reason, censorship or just negligence, I don't give a damn what your reasons are. Things can happen.
Yeah. Well, and I've gone out of my way to buy multiple region-free, code-free Blu-ray players so I can, and 4K players, so
thanks
that I
to
can.
You, I got not because you got it from it. Thanks to you and your recommendation of doing that. That's what I have now. So.
Yeah, and I've gotten amazing box sets that are not available anywhere else.
Oh yeah, the Second Sight Films, the British company. I got May from them not that long ago. The box set's awesome, and I just got The Hitcher. My Viper Video, which is a video store in Tampa, I actually had him get it so I could buy it through him, but now I can watch it on my region free. Yeah. So
and I mean, Dog Soldiers has a beautiful box set that was UK exclusive, so got that. And Ghost Watch came out on this beautiful Blu-ray exclusive in the UK, so I bought that.
Werewolf, the TV series. I got the French because France was the only place that got the freaking show. Because you and I, when we did the dang the show itself, it was like we were doing the YouTube. Use the YouTube versions, right?
Well, I had it on disc.
Yeah.
And then you were watching the YouTube, and then you had me send the copies I had.
But your copies were ultimately still copies of copies. They were, Yeah. And look, the French one is not like it's perfect remaster, but it's better than what you and I had to sit through. I can tell you that. I mean, watch some of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for the region free. I would not have that option.
Yeah. So if you're serious about movies and serious about, supporting folks, go to the effort because it's worth it.
Yep. 100%. So for both of us, we totally recommend The Final Terror from 1983. And be sure to check that out. Again, it's available at the moment. I think it's AMC Plus. Wasn't that who?
No, I think I got it right from Amazon Prime.
And it may be AMC Plus too, because I subscribe to that.
Oh, okay.
Because of all the Walking Dead nonsense. Although I will say I do like the Daryl show. It's not perfect, but I like it.
Okay.
I know some people don't like it. I like it. I just like that it's in France and it's trying to do something different.
So for me, The Walking Dead, since you mentioned it, I watched season 1, loved it. Tried season 2, dropped off. Came back for season 3, and it was when they started in the prison. And I had to stop watching because the lawn inside the prison walls was perfectly manicured. And there was no way that's supposed to happen. So I was done.
You're like that guy. So whenever somebody makes a movie about, say, cops, and real cops go see it and they just gripe.
Well, it's not just that. It was your 3 years into a zombie apocalypse.
Yes, I know.
The lawn was not getting mowed still.
Yeah, but I feel like that's one of the things that where you're so kind of locked into all the details of the show. You probably didn't. That's where you need your art department to step up and go, hey, hey, maybe we should do something with that. But yeah, man, no, Hammond, my friend, always a pleasure. I'm so glad you made it for yet another. I'm glad we all made it for another Spooky Flix Fest here in 2024. Hopefully, we'll get another one next year. And so. Any final things you want to tell people, like where they could find you, your awesome podcast, any of that stuff? Yeah,
so I do Beyond the Playlist with J Hammond C. It's a interview show that's 10 years old or 11 years old almost.
God, you're old.
Soundography is in its 10th season. We're going to be releasing episodes for that soon. And I'm everywhere kind of at J Hammond C. I kind of cornered the market. I don't have a Twitter anymore, but Soundography does, called the Soundography at Twitter. But everywhere else, I'm J Hammond C.
Nice. Very cool. Check out all of his stuff. I vouch for him. And by the way, that probably just hurt you more than helped you.
Well, it's your fault that I do this in the first place. So
I know you love to blame me, but all I did was I unlocked the door. I unlocked the door and said, "Hey, Hammond, want to come on over?" You're like, "Sure, man." And then you like built a house, and you're like, "Hey." I give Joel credit because he let me into a house once, and I saw, hey, living in a house kind of cool. So then I built a house. So I'm gonna like say, hey, Joel, thanks for helping me build a house. I'm like, Joel didn't. Joel literally unlocked the door and said, hey, man, want to hang out for a while? And you're like, yeah, bro, I'll hang out. But no, I'm happy. I love the fact that you've been keeping at this, man, and you've grown, and obviously you and I know each other off this crazy platform place, and it's just cool to see how much you've grown and changed with it and done. You keep doing the same shows, but you've like shifted and done cool new things, and it's all.
I didn't say that Neil Marshall. People know who he is who listen to your show. He joins me once a month to talk about movies now.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's very, very cool. Yeah, as in like Dog Soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was about to say you brought up Dog Soldiers. Then you said Neil Marshall. I'm like, I'm assuming you mean
Dog Soldiers, Descent.
I need to show both of those to my kids because those movies rule. I need to show them. Yeah.
So we covered. JD and I covered Dog Soldiers last year around Halloween. He listened, reached out to her because they both live in London. So now they're doing things together. Cool. They just released a bunch of shorts for the Art of Action for the BFI.
Nice.
Or BAFTA, sorry. Or BFI, British Film Institute. BFI. You
could just make up something and I would be like, oh, really? Cool.
No, so they just released 4 shorts called For the Art of Action for that. And he shows up once a month and we talk movies. And he had me watch Lake Mungo for this last Halloween.
I saw that for the first time just a couple years ago.
Yeah. I got it confused with Megan is Missing. So I was a little bit confused at the movie because I was flipped them in my head. But yeah, they're both good movies.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, so definitely check all that out from Hammond. Thank you for those that chose to watch us here for this bonus episode of Spooky Flix Fest here on Mom and Pop Video Shop. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Gotta throw that out there.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Give it a little tickle. Tickle the like button. Tickle it. And remember, at Mom and Pop's, our love of
the films behind the curtain
never stops.
Thank you for listening. Get all the spookiness you can handle this October by subscribing to Mom and Pop Video Shop on YouTube. You can also find Retro Movie Geek on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you dig up your podcasts. The eerie music you heard at the beginning and end of this episode was provided courtesy of Ed and Gavin and their band Midnight Syndicate. We want to thank them for the use of music from their album, The Brimstone Club. Want to sink your unkept and bloody claws into this and all of Midnight Syndicate's beautifully macabre music? Then go to midnightsyndicate.com. And remember, spooky is as spooky does.